Hi everyone, welcome. I'll just invite Gina now, so bear with me. This is the first time inviting someone to a live before. Gina. There you go, Gina. That's now. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, good. My house has never been so quiet. It's beautiful.
Have they gone out for a walk?
Yeah, they have. I got rid of them all for half an hour, which is lovely. So thank you.
Oh, no, thank you so much. Should we wait for anyone, or do you think we should just get started and then go from there?
If we just get started, you'll save this to your highlights, won't you? And I can save
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
Then
cool.
it's always
Awesome.
there.
Cool. So I guess I'll introduce myself for your followers who don't know. So my name's Danny. I'm from Hyperemesis, New Zealand. So hyperemesis is severe nausea and vomiting in pregnancy. So if pregnancy sickness was on a spectrum, hyperemesis would be at the far end. During this, we'll probably talk about it as HG. If you're wondering what that is, we're talking about hyperemesis. But it can be a really serious condition. Women can lose a lot of weight. They can be severely dehydrated, malnourished, and it can be quite dangerous for mum and baby. So yeah, Gina's going to have a bit of a chat to us today about how we can help with that, whether that's before, during, or after. So thanks, Gina.
Thanks for having me. It is an honor to be here.
Oh, thank you. I know all these ladies are going to get so much out of this, so thank you. So did you just want to have a little bit of a chat, Gina, just about, I guess, what you do and where, you started and that kind of thing?
Yeah, sure. So I started my career nursing and I lived in Australia for 18 years. So I spent quite a lot of time nursing in Perth, and then I moved to Brisbane and worked in the Mater Mothers Hospital in South Brisbane. And during that time, I bounced between gynae oncology and maternity and did a bit of pathology and bits and pieces like that as well. And it was during that time working at the hospital, I saw a real drive for me to learn more about preventative medicine and natural medicine. So I went and did a Bachelor of Health Science and Nutritional Medicine at Endeavour College. And I guess my journey through pregnancy, fertility, hormonal kind of things has really shaped my career as a nutritionist, specializing in women's health and preconception, pregnancy, postpartum, all the hormonal things in between. And that's kind of naturally flown into infant nutrition as well. So I feel really honored to be supporting people at such a exciting, full-on time of your life, I guess. And our clinic services have grown over the last couple of years. I had my fourth baby last year and have taken on 2 practitioners that are now working with me. And we're seeing clients via Zoom consults, which is working fabulously given that we're all in lockdown. So we can support people in the comfort of home. So yeah, that's where we're at the moment with our clinical services, all via Zoom. I've got a senior practitioner, Carolyn, who does all the initial infertility consults, and they're quite an in-depth consultation where we'll go through all the systems of your body and take a really thorough history and really get to what's driving a condition and a really thorough treatment plan. And we've also created mini consults where if you are pregnant and just needing some good quality supplements, or you're planning on falling pregnant soon, it's an opportunity to gain access to some good quality practitioner grade supplements without having to invest into a full consult. So I can go into them in a bit more in depth when we get into the nitty gritty about nutrients. But yeah, I've also got 4 children. So yeah, it keeps me very busy.
I can imagine. Just with your consults, Gina, I've used the mini one for my daughter Ocean, which was really helpful because I was quite nervous with HG about, if she might be lacking, and I found that really helpful in getting some, like you say, practitioner supplements. So she's got a little gut health thing that she's taking, and also I've been working with Carolyn, one of your practitioners, who's been really great as well. So yeah, can firsthand vouch for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah.
So with your, I guess a good segue from that is, I guess, have you in your time nursing and then now, have you dealt with women with hyperemesis before?
Yeah, we definitely, there was a lot of it in the hospital, but more one-on-one, working with clients, we do see a lot of it come through a clinic. And I guess when we're treating women, and you would know this, that HG is so different for everybody, and some things work amazing for someone and then don't for someone else. And even subsequent pregnancies for the same women, something can work and then doesn't. So yeah,
it's a real trickster. Yeah.
So there's, we've definitely seen some patterns with clients and things that work quite well, and then ways that we can definitely support women alongside the OBGYN and their clinical or their medical team as well. So we're always open to working alongside any kind of fertility or OBGYN specialists as well, which is important to us. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, that's good to know that there's kind of another line of action there for us if we need it, because I guess that's something a lot of people probably don't consider. Everyone looks at GP, midwife and OBGYN, but that's an extra avenue that we can go down, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've got a bit of a list of questions here for you, Gina. So I guess I'll just start from the start. If there's something that you think you've already answered, just tell me, because I might not have picked up on that. So the first one I've got here is there is some really good research coming out about 2 genes being involved with hyperemesis. Do you think there is anything aside from this that could cause or worsen HG? And do you think there's any specific deficiencies that could contribute?
I don't know too much about the genes. That'll be something that I'll look into. I haven't seen a lot that's pointing to anything directly that relates to women presenting with HG. We have seen vitamin B1 deficiencies, which is a common vitamin B1 deficiency can cause vomiting and nausea. So correcting that is really important in the preconception phase, but then also in early pregnancy as well, just to rule that out first and foremost. And we know that vitamin B1 protects your brain and heart. So that's a really important nutrient that we need to make sure that we've built up, ideally prior to conception, but then early in pregnancy as soon as it's picked up as well.
That's interesting, because you don't hear about that often from, I certainly didn't hear about it from anyone when I was pregnant. So that's a good one to be aware of.
Yeah.
What have I got here? So yeah, kind of along those lines again, is there anything that you think we can do to lessen the severity, I suppose, once we have hyperemesis, in terms of nutrients or supplements, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I think if we go all the way back, I think first and foremost, the best thing that you can do if you're planning to fall pregnant is to invest in some preconception care planning and really spend some time building up your nutrient reserves prior to falling pregnant. It goes such a long way, and then not having to catch up once you are pregnant. So if you can go into a pregnancy with high vitamin D and iron, and you're getting those B vitamins in prior to falling pregnant, you're leaps and bounds ahead than trying to catch up once you are pregnant. So first and foremost, if you are in the position and you're not already pregnant, then definitely start building yourself up prior to pregnancy. Once you are pregnant and you feel, or you've been diagnosed with HG, or you're just feeling rubbish, because there's a bit of a grey area between diagnosed and feeling rubbish as well. I know a lot of people that aren't diagnosed and still it's a horrific thing to be feeling.
I'm sure this is how for anyone on the spectrum, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So some women, vitamin B6 works fabulously. It helps break down your proteins, which stabilizes your blood sugar levels. Some people can find that ginger is a relief. Some people will say that's absolute rubbish because it does nothing for them. So it's just each individual and making sure that you're trying a range of things to see what's working and what's not. Then there's a range of medications that are a bit the same as natural remedies as well. Some of them work for women and some don't. And then also acupuncture, which has been well researched, and I've found quite a few of our women that we're treating have found quite a lot of relief with acupuncture as well.
That's cool to hear that, because you hear I think it's one of those things, isn't it, where it's mixed. Like you say, everyone manages HD differently and everyone responds differently, but
Yeah.
I suppose when you have it, it's one of those things where you just want to try everything that's possibly available to you, so
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
to it all off. You've kind of just talked about this a little bit, but in terms of supplements, if you were to recommend anything in particular during your pregnant with HD, if you can manage something, what would that be?
Yeah, so we always advise that find the best time of the day for you. So a lot of women find that they feel their worst in the morning, or and then they manage to hold down their supplements better in the evening or just before bed. So find the time of the day that you feel best to take your supplements or to get the most nutrient dense meal in, if you can hold down a meal. So then we would be recommending a really good preconception multi or pregnancy multi that's going to contain your folic acid, your choline. Choline's a really important nutrient, and I speak about this a lot on my platform in regards to preventing things like neural tube defects and supporting brain development. So those kind of your preconception multi, your choline, and then your your omega-3s, which is really important for baby's brain development, and then also supporting the mother's brain because we know that we're transferring so much of our own fat and DHA from our brains to baby, especially in that third trimester. If we're seeing mothers being deficient, then we see that kind of postpartum depletion picture post-pregnancy. So if you can stomach taking some vitamins, then take them at the time of the day that you feel best, and trying to make sure that they're in the best form that you can absorb and utilize as well. Some of the over-the-counter supplements that you'd get from the supermarket are in a form that's quite hard for your body to digest and break down, and some of the forms that those nutrients are in as well can make people feel nauseous even if they don't have HG. So having a really good quality multivitamin is important as well.
So there was a question that I've got that's a little bit further down the list, but it fits in quite well with what you've just said. So one woman, and I'm sure a lot of us, was quite concerned about if she can't take those supplements, about her baby being malnourished and missing out on those vitamins and minerals. Do you have anything to say for that? That can we catch up on that at a worst case scenario? Can we catch up later on? And the other thing she was concerned about was postnatal depletion as well.
Yeah, so Mother Nature kind of prioritizes your baby's growth and development, and your baby will take what it needs from you. So we know that, for example, in the second trimester, babies will start laying down calcium into their bones, and if the mother is quite deficient, baby will start drawing on the mother. And if you are feeling things like muscle cramps or restless legs and things like that, then that could be an indication that baby's drawing from the mother's reserves. But definitely Mother Nature will prioritize your baby's growth and development, and then postpartum is a time for you to replenish yourself, and most certainly you can do that. So if you're not able to stomach any kind of supplements or any kind of food throughout your whole pregnancy, then I'm sure your specialist will also be monitoring that as well, and making sure that you have the option of IV or nasogastric feeding as well. So between all the things that are available, then if you can't get it in at that time throughout your pregnancy, then definitely replenishing postpartum.
Awesome. That's really reassuring, I'm sure, for lots of people to hear. There was one other question along those lines, and you've especially just talked about it, but there was concerns around our teeth. And obviously, if with the vomiting and then the loss of nutrients and then the baby taking those stores, is there anything that we can do in particular to protect our teeth when we can stomach something?
I think really good oral hygiene, so looking after, like, brushing your teeth regularly and things like that. a little bit out of my scope. Maybe somebody who's in the dental field might
Oh,
have
sorry, I mean more in terms of vitamins. Sorry, I should have been a bit more clear on that.
Yeah, so we do have things like, I've got an example here. This one is the Metagenics Minerals Essentials, and this is a powder that you mix with water, and you can sip on this throughout the day, and that's got all your minerals in there, so that would help replenishing those calcium reserves. So things like that we have available to women through our services, and that helps building those minerals that are being lost. But yeah, definitely. I think if it's in a drink form as well, it's an easier way to get it down rather than taking a tablet. It was what we found with most women in clinic. So
yeah, is that something that you could freeze? Because I know a lot of women can do ice chips.
yeah,
Could you freeze that and have it in ice cube form? Would that?
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Just mix it in. It's vanilla flavor. You can mix it in with some water and then pop it into. I've seen some women do those popsicle molds, and you can just suck on that throughout the day as well. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
The tricks you get. Just the next one. So if we can manage some foods during our pregnancy, what ones would you recommend that really pack a punch nutritionally? And have you got any suggestions that are a bit more bland that we can replace hot chips with? Because I know a lot of women, that's kind of their go-to.
Yeah, it's got all the sodium and the carbs, doesn't it? Yeah. Your body's looking for it, so that's why you're craving it. So if you can get some food in, and you're looking at the most nutrient dense foods, things like Brazil nuts, kelp, eggs, liver, meat, these things probably don't sound really appetizing and appealing, but if you can get nutrient dense foods in, they're ideal. All your bright colorful fruits and vegetables, and yeah, some gentle carbohydrates. So if you're looking for carbohydrates and salt, like baked sweet potatoes or baked potato, those kind of things. Sourdough bread is really great, getting a really nutrient dense bread. So we have quite a few options. Some are available in the supermarket, but then also we use the Goodness bread, which is buckwheat, and it's full of B vitamins. And so just getting a really nutrient dense bread where you can make a piece of toast, if that's the only thing that you can stomach, then that's a great way to start building those nutrients as well. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. That's a good tip. Where would you buy that bread from? The Goodness one.
I'm in Hawke's Bay, so we have it quite a few places locally. I know that they're also in Auckland. I'll pop a little link and see maybe if you can order it online. Even the paleo bread that you can get at Countdown, and I think there's a Home Street bread. Like there's some good quality breads. If the only thing that you're stomaching is toast, then really investing in a good quality piece of bread goes a long way. So
Awesome,
yeah.
that's a good tip. Thank you. We'll just look at what other questions we got here. Someone wanted to know, is there an order to best eat foods to help with vomiting or with, I guess, nutrient absorption? So she wanted to know if you eat your fats first veg or something like that, if that would help.
I'm not too sure. I've never had
A random one, but
had it. I know that we're really wanting to get those calories in and really nutrient dense foods and high fat, but I know that a lot of high fat foods can really irritate the stomach as well. If you can get things like, I know sometimes women soak chia seeds in like a fruit juice or in like a blended smoothie and things like that. That's a really great way of getting some nutrient dense kind of like fat soluble vitamins and things in there, but I'm not sure about the order, if it would make any difference on nutrient absorption or how that would make that individual person feel. I think that will probably something that you trial and error with how it makes you feel. Yeah.
thank you. Got that one. So what nutrients will HG women likely suffer deficiencies in postpartum?
So it depends on the individual on how they went into pregnancy. So what we see commonly in clinic is women going into pregnancy already depleted in things like iron and B vitamins. Iron one. It's really hard to catch up if you go into a pregnancy depleted because the requirements of iron are so high during pregnancy. So sometimes we see that being replenished through an infusion. Sometimes we see quite a deficiency in your omegas and building up those B vitamins and kind of like just the mineral balance as well. So just a really good quality multivitamin. And I'm sorry, I'm reading the questions as I'm talking and getting distracted.
Yeah, I'll ask that one in a minute, actually.
One thing at a time, Gina. What was I saying? Rebuilding. So things that we see postpartum in women is probably just broad spectrum B vitamins and then also iron and omegas.
Thank you. That's a good starting point, definitely, from the sounds of it. So I guess I'll ask that question. Firstly, Mikasa, I'll put this up on IGTV, so you'll be able to rewatch the beginning, so don't worry about missing that. So is it true? I guess you can answer that one, Gina. Can you see that question?
Is it true if I can keep down my vitamins 15 minutes before being sick is good enough? You do start absorbing nutrients quite quickly. I know that even a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of specialists say, even with food, if you can, even if you know that you're going to bring it back up, I hope this isn't triggering anybody, but if you are going to bring something back up, it's better to be bringing up food rather than just straight bile as well. So, and that there is some kind of nutrient absorption in that first 15 minutes. So, yeah, definitely try and find the best time of the day to get your nutrients in and the time of the day that you feel best. But yeah, I think definitely trying to get that food in as well.
Thank you. That's a good question, actually. What have we got? I think you've kind of answered this one as well, Gina, just about do you have any specific health concerns for HG women and any recommendations for managing that? Is there anything else you'd want to say for that from what you've already said?
Yeah, what we see really commonly and what we work on in consults is treating constipation. And I think most people with HG will know that, well, when you're pregnant, your progesterone's high anyway, and that contributes to constipation in pregnancy, whether you have HG or not. And then when you add vomiting and nausea, loss of fluids and then lack of fibre in your diet, it can be a real issue for women. So we spend a lot of time working with women on their gut health and ensuring regular bowel motions, whether it's using things like magnesium to help relax the bowel and really high fibre gentle foods to help the bowel move as well. So really like probiotic rich foods. As I said, magnesium helps relax the bowel and gets the bowels moving. And if you can't take a magnesium tablet, we can get it in through a powder form as well, and you can sip on that throughout the day. Even Epsom salt baths or topical magnesium can help as well, as a really gentle way to get magnesium in. And then looking at really high fiber foods that most women can stomach. And as you mentioned, like freezing things, we know that's a great way of getting hydration into people, but then also some nutrients as well. So if you were to blend up some kiwi fruit and mint and sometimes soaking some chia seeds in there can be a really effective way of getting the electrolytes and getting some fluid into you, which will help with bowel health as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, we haven't actually had any constipation questions, which surprises me, because on Dancertron is a real shocker for adding to that, which I guess on top of I guess this is a question from me regarding that kind of thing. Do you have any opinion on laxatives and enemas and that kind of thing? Should we be being careful around them? Because I was personally prescribed them. Is there anything we should be doing to help our bowel after taking them other than what you've mentioned already?
Yeah, I think you start gentle and you start with the most gentle approaches you can, like if it is magnesium or food, and if it's not working for you, then you have other options available to you as well. It's important to get those bowels moving. So if those first forms of what we would prescribe as magnesium and a diet approach, lifestyle approach, isn't working, and then your next best option is enemas and laxatives, then yeah, it's definitely warranted and there's a place for it. But then also supporting your bowel as well. So whether it's trying to get some nutrient dense or some probiotic rich foods in there as well to help restore that gut microbiome. And then also postpartum, really working on replenishing that gut microbiome and gut health goes a long way. We do see a lot of women postpartum with a lot of gut issues. I think that's the time when you really put in the work and the repair after the pregnancy. Yeah.
That's another thing to think about, isn't it? Now, so someone asked Gina, at what point should we get a nutritionist or a dietitian involved? How bad does it need to be?
I always recommend that you work with somebody prior to falling pregnant, and I think it's really important to build, as I said, build those nutrient reserves before you're pregnant so that you're not playing catch up in pregnancy or postpartum. And if you can start taking your prenatal multivitamin 3 months prior to conception, it goes a long way in building those nutrient reserves. We know that what we're doing 3 months prior to conception has an impact on our egg quality, and then also for men, they're bringing 50% of the genetic material to making this baby, and they have a very small window where they can have an impact on the quality of sperm that they're creating as well. So for both men and women, I think it's really important to put some preconception care planning in place if you are planning a pregnancy. If you have a surprise pregnancy, which a lot of us do, I've had a few, then you don't have that opportunity for preconception care planning and to take your preconception supplements prior to falling pregnant, then as soon as you know that you're pregnant, get a really good multivitamin. As soon as you know that you're pregnant, to start investing into your health and getting as many nutrients from food and supplements as you can.
I think especially for HG women, because the probably most accurate study that there is says that there's around about an 81% recurrence rate. So if we know that, then it's good to get on and do something like that early before we start trying. Now, we've kind of talked about this as well, Gina, but I know this is something that you're really passionate about and have a lot of knowledge on, so you might have more to add. What could someone planning another pregnancy do to prepare their body for pregnancy and the chance of HG again?
So as you said, we do know that there is quite a high chance of getting HG again with subsequent pregnancies. Again, building those nutrient reserves before you're pregnant, investing in preconception care planning, both men and women, and then also what we've found in clinic is early intervention with treating HG as early as possible. Some women have said to me that the sooner they started taking their medication before they actually felt chronically ill, that it's helped throughout their pregnancy as well. So early intervention and treating, and as early as you can, and building yourself up as well.
That's definitely a big one, isn't it? I'll just check these questions quickly.
And supplements, and we know a lot of the pharmaceutical iron supplements can be really harsh to digest, and if you're looking at the iron that's in things like Elevate, it's in a form that's really hard for your body to digest, and it can be really constipating. Even women without HG find that Elevate and the form of iron in Elevate can be really constipating and hard for the gut to break down. So we use an iron biglycinate, which is a lot more gentle on digestion. You don't need as high a dose. It's more bioavailable, which means that your body can absorb and utilize it. And we've seen those nutrients like iron build really quickly, having a really bioavailable form of iron that's gentle. So that would be the difference between having something that's in a cheap form like Elevate. I'm not a fan of it. As opposed to something that we would prescribe. So having a really good form of iron goes a long way.
And there's just another question there, Gina, about the best sources of iron for vegetarians other than supplements.
So things like spirulina or your leafy greens, your legumes, nuts and seeds have iron. So definitely getting them through whole foods is really important. So spirulina could be used as kind of like a supplement form if you are buying it in a powder and adding it to your smoothies and things like that.
There's a few other questions popping up. So just just so everyone's aware, so Gina is talking more to the nutritional sorts of questions around nutrients and that kind of thing. We got one. You might actually be able to talk to this though, Gina, regards to I guess nutrient depletion and postnatal depression, and if there's any connections there and anything to be aware of. Obviously HG making that worse.
Yeah, so postnatal depletion has become quite popular in the last probably 2 years. Dr. Oscar Serlich has termed it postnatal depletion. He's a doctor in Byron Bay, and he's done a lot of research into it. If anybody has seen his work, it's really amazing. And so postnatal depletion is when we see things like brittle hair and nails and like kind of transparent teeth, loss of the elasticity in skin, and then at the more severe spectrum of it is like postnatal depression and anxiety. We know that in that third trimester we're passing up to 7 grams a day of DHA from our brain to our baby. So if we're not getting that through our diet or through supplements, that's when we do see those kind of postnatal depletion, depression popping up once we've had our babies. So if you are feeling so chronically ill through your pregnancy that you can't get those nutrients in, then having them there for once you've had your baby and you can stomach them is quite important. So we know that with postnatal depression, building up those omega-3s is really important in supporting the mother's brain, and then also things like probiotics and that gut health, that gut-brain axis is really important as well. So yes, there is definitely a correlation between HG mums and postnatal depression and depletion, and it's something that we definitely work on with clients postnatally as well. Yeah.
Thanks,
and
Gina.
Seeking support. Sometimes, and we know we can go to that 6-week checkup and not get asked a thing about ourselves. It can be all about the baby sometimes, but definitely seeking help. And I know sometimes I've heard the term asking a depressed mother to go and seek help is like asking somebody with a broken leg to walk to hospital, and it can be really difficult. But please know that there is a lot of support out there, and sometimes we need to reach for it if it's not been offered to us. But yeah, it's definitely a real thing for a lot of mothers, and there is support and help there.
Thanks, Gina. Just one more question, and then I guess I'll just ask you if there's anything you want to add, because I know that you've got 4 kids probably waiting for you. So just one more question there was, what probiotic foods do you suggest?
So things like your water kefir or coconut kefir, that's a really great way. I've actually got some sitting here that's just been delivered. This is the Wild and Delicious one, and that is a water kefir, and it's got raspberry, ginger and lemon. So a lovely way to get some hydration into you. It's got ginger in it as well, which can help with nausea, and then it's rich in probiotics as well. And then your probiotic rich foods would be things like sauerkraut, your fermented foods, and then any kind of yogurt, so coconut yogurt or Greek yogurt, things like that have a broad range of probiotic strains.
So if we freeze probiotic food, is that going to kill the goodies in there? Yeah, okay.
Heat, so I would say that it would be fine. But yeah, if you were to heat probiotics, then you kill the beneficial bacteria.
I keep seeing that drink on your story. It looks delicious. I'll have to buy some.
Yeah, I have to hide it from my kids. They're into it.
Oh no, it's an expensive treat. So is there anything else, Gina, that you would like to share that you've thought of?
I think I've covered most things. I had a few things jotted down too. I think the key things that I find is that helps women with HG is to eat something before up in the morning. So it could be 30 minutes before you get out of bed, just to help with those blood sugar levels before you jump out of bed, whether it's a cracker or a piece of toast. We've found that's probably one of the most common threads that help support that morning nausea. Eating little and often, so it's all about keeping your blood sugar levels regulated. So eating small amounts of food often, that's where we see B6 sometimes helping, because it does help break down amino acids and your proteins, which then stabilizes your blood sugar levels. So if blood sugar regulation is an issue, that's when B6 can help. Establishing the time of the day that you feel best, and then those getting your nutrients in, and the common thing we see in women in clinic as well is through frozen food. So freezing smoothies, freezing things like chia seeds into your fruit and things like that to help with the fiber content, and yeah, just getting the nutrients in at the time of the day that you feel best. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, that's, I wish I'd thought about these things when I was pregnant. Oh, goodness. Oh, just one more question if you've got time, Gina, that's just popped up, which is quite a good one. When heartburn is an issue, what foods should be avoided? I know that's a real issue for a lot of women with HG and all pregnant women.
Yeah. So sometimes that can be towards the end of a pregnancy, if you are losing space in there and things are literally just getting pushed up, you can't do a lot. But avoiding things like really spicy, really heavily fatty foods, even if it was like good fats like coconuts and things, that can help trigger, or that can trigger that reflux in some women. And then definitely those really spicy foods as well. So avoiding things like that. Sometimes when you're getting that acid reflux, it can be because your digestive enzymes in your stomach are low, and so we're wanting to help establish those digestive enzymes and trigger those before eating. So sometimes a little bit of lemon and water or apple cider vinegar and water can help those stomach acids prior to eating and help break down food as well. That's something that you can try if you're finding that you're getting, it sounds crazy that you're adding acid to acid, but it's because low, and that's why it's bubbling up. We're wanting to get it down, and adding those kind of like apple cider vinegar or lemon and water can help lower those that reflux as well.
Thank you. Yeah, because I know, myself included, quite a lot of us take a given omeprazole and that kind of thing, because that can worsen HG. And then I've definitely found postpartum my reflux has stayed, and I don't know whether that's tied in with taking them for a long time. So that's a really good tip. Thank you.
I've just put something about bone broth, which is a fabulous nutrient to get in if you can get some bone broth in. I wouldn't suggest making it yourself because the smell of it is enough for anybody, but by a really nutrient dense bone broth, you can get it. I know someone's got Campbell's. Don't think Campbell's is one of the better ones. If you could get the Best Bones one, that's really great, and they sell it in frozen cubes. So if you wanted to pop it into smoothies and things like that, it's a really great way of getting protein into you without having to eat those really foods that are hard to digest, like meats and things. So yeah, bone broth is a fabulous addition. One of those really nutrient dense foods, and supports gut health as well.
Thank you. I'm very mindful of your time, Gina. Do you need to head off, or there's one more question there if you are happy to answer it?
Any recommendations for meal replacement smoothies to help keep your nutrients in? Yeah, so sometimes those meal replacement smoothies don't have the best ingredients. I remember reading the back of them when I worked in the hospital and thought, surely we can do better than this. A lot of synthetic vitamins in a poor form. So if you could make your own smoothie, that would be a fabulous way to get nutrients in, and put a really good protein powder in there if you're finding that you can keep a smoothie down. So adding something like a banana, some almond milk, a good protein powder. The bananas that got that potassium in there, which we find we HG women can lose a lot of, and even a pinch of salt in there as well. And yeah, chia seeds, flax seeds to get that fiber in there. That's a really great way of getting some nutrients in without having the meal replacements. Yeah.
Thanks, Gina. Oh, thank you so much for all this information. I feel like I need to go and write it all down. I might write some of your tips in the notes if you're happy with that.
Absolutely. I write this down and put it into a post too, because it's a real issue for so many women, and whether you've been diagnosed with HG or not, I know that so many women are struggling throughout their pregnancies, and yeah, it's a really tricky time. Yeah, mentally, physically, emotionally, there's lots going on. So yeah, I really feel for women with HG.
Thanks, Gina. Oh, I'm sure you've helped a lot of us a lot. So thank you for your time. And if there's nothing else that you want to add, I suppose I'll leave you to your 4 lovely children. And
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And if any questions, they're welcome to pop over to my Instagram, and my DMs are always open.
thanks, Gina. And if anyone wants to book a consult for preconception planning or postpartum with Gina's team, you just head on over to her Instagram as well.
Yeah, link in my bio that will just link to my website. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Gina, and hope everyone's feeling okay. We're thinking of you guys.
Yeah, we are. Thank you.
See you later, everyone. I don't actually know how to hang up, Gina, so I'll let you do it first.
I'm good with technology as well. Let me see how we go.
We might be here forever. Let's have a look. Don't delete it.
See you later.
See ya.